Hey, what is up, my friends, my dudes and doodles? I'm Mikey the 53, and in this video, I'm going to go over like a beginner's guide from a beginner's perspective. And in this video is a little bit longer. I'll put timestamps in the descriptions. Basically, I'm going to go over everything that when you first log into the game could be a little overwhelming when you first see it, and just stuff like that. And right before you set up for a raid, we'll go over like actual in-raid things in a different video. And then as well, we stream Monday through Thursday. We start about 7 or 8 p.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. Central Time. So if you have any questions about the video or something doesn't make sense, feel free to stop by and ask me. Or if you have any tips for me, that would be great as well. Let's get into this video. Hello. All right, guys, let's get into this beginner's guide from a beginner. I completely reset my account. I've had this game for about a month or so now, and here's exactly what you guys should see. Like right after you pick your language, you have two choices. You have Bear or USEC. The Bear is Russian speaking, and I think there's some like attire differences, and the USEC is English speaking. Now, before I was Bear, so I'm gonna go USEC this time. Go ahead and click that. You can read that if you want. Hit next. All right, next we have the main menu here. So we have Escape from Tarkov, Character, Trading, Hideout. I'm going to go into the Escape from Tarkov part. This is where you're going to go into, is if you're going to go into a raid, this is where you would go. You have Scav on the left and PMC. Scav is a completely random generated character that you're going to spawn in as. And the other AI Scavs are going to be friendly to you unless you attack them. And we can get into more of that later. And then PMC is your character, what items you bring into the raid when you equip it to your character. You can see right here, it says your main character. So we're going to go back to our actual character now and look at this. Here's our actual character screen along with our stash. So on the way left here, I unequipped everything, but here's what is on your actual character, including his rig and backpack. So you have earpiece, headwear, face cover, armband, body armor, eyewear, your gun that's on sling, one that's on your back, and then a pistol, and then your knife. And then up here you have your tactical rig, your pockets, your backpack, and your pouch. We'll go over this pouch a little bit later. Down here on the left, we have the character's health, hydration, and energy. Let's go into our character's health, and then we'll go into the health items. So in health, we have each body part, which has its own amount of health or hit points, whatever you want to call it, HP. And they all have certain negative effects if they reach 0, or in this game, it's called blacked out. If a certain limb or something gets blacked out, something different happens. So head and thorax, if those hit 0, that's the end. You're done. You're dead. Stomach, if this reaches 0, these two that we just talked about, the hydration and energy, those start to deplete a lot faster. And then when that happens, if those end up reaching 0, I think like you kind of get like a little tunnel vision, screen gets black and you black out, and you also die, so you don't want that. Arms, if those black out, your aim is a little sway. There's like a little bit more of a sway to it, harder to aim. And I'm not sure on this, but I think reload speed might be affected and like searching. I could be wrong on that one though. Legs, if these get blacked out or reach 0, whatever you want to call it, you limp. Your walking speed's affected and you can't run anymore. So that is awful. Now I'm going to get into some of the healing items, what they do for certain ailments, and how to just heal up your actual character. So first I'm going to go over the bandage. As you can see, if you double click or right click inspect on one of these, it brings up the window to look at the stuff, and that's for every item. But it also tells you what it does and then how long it takes in raid. So use time, this is 2 seconds. As you see, it says stops blood loss. So what that means is, so if something on you is bleeding, you would use a bandage and it would stop the bleeding. Now the bandage does not give you any, it doesn't give you any health back, it just stops the bleeding. So with that, so say your arm is at 30 out of 60 and it's bleeding because it got shot. If you use this bandage, and there's other stuff as well, but for now, just the bandage, it'll stay 30 to 60, but it won't be bleeding anymore. And you want to stop the bleeding because things can bleed out. This can go to 0. You can actually bleed out completely. So you don't want any of that. Splint is kind of similar in the way that it doesn't heal actual health points. As you can see, it says 5 seconds, but it removes fractures. What can get fractured? I'm so glad you asked. Arms, legs. Arms, I'm pretty sure it's just in a fight that you can get fractures. Legs, also in fights, but if you fall or jump from something too high, it can fracture. And you want to get rid of that because, especially for legs, it's the same as if you were to get it blacked out, you're gonna be limping. You can't run, so you're gonna want to use the splint to get rid of that. Now the AI2 or piece of cheese, because it looks like a piece of cheese right here, or the craft single, whatever you want to call this. This takes 2 seconds, but this is what heals your body parts and puts your health back up. So let's like say backward on this. This is 30 of 60. You can see in the bottom left here it says 100 of 100. So if this was 30 of 60, you would take 30 from this to heal your arm back up. So then you'd have one that's at like 70 out of 100. And once you use it all, obviously it's gone. That's it for the main like basic 3. And then you'll get into other stuff later on. For example, like this IFAC. As you say, it says 300 of 300. So you can heal up to 300. But this one also stops blood loss. So what that means is, say this was 30 of 60 and bleeding, you could use this to stop bleeding and you can heal with the same thing. So don't panic like you have to bring in all these things at once. Eventually you'll get things a little bit better that can heal multiple things and multiple ailments. You also have water and food that is going to put up your hydration and energy. And you can use these in raid if these get low, and out of raid if these are low as well when you come back for a raid. Now let's get into some of our gear and how to just like equip and all those kind of things. So we have backpack. If you want a quick little tip, if you alt click, it equips items. Grab this as well. So right there, really quick. Now, if you control click, it puts things into your backpack or the nearest open slot. So there. And then if you control click from here, it puts it back into your inventory, like so. You can also just drag, but I would really work on using the clicks because, especially in raid, the faster you can loot, the better it is. So let's go over some gun stuff. Let's get an open spot here. Okay, so here's our gun. If you click inspect, you can, I'm not going to go too in depth with the modification stuff right now, but this is all things you can modify in your guns. I mean, it gets crazy. All these are individual parts that you can buy from traders or on the flea market. I'm just going to take this off. You can either just drag that off and that's the magazine there, or if you right click unload, it'll put it in the nearest slot. So I'm going to leave this off. If you're ever curious on what magazine goes with what gun, you can always just click them. I just double click to open up the menus like so. Oops. I'm gonna make this a little bit so you can see 545 by 39, 545 by 39. You know those will match up, and they say for AK-74, so that kind of helps. And that's just and when you drag over the actual gun, it'll highlight it green like so to drop it in. And then ammo, which is a whole nother beast in itself. Oops. Grab this down here. I recommend just looking online for a chart for ammo because it gets very confusing to try to remember all what's best. I would just have one handy to look what you should get. And then for ammo, if you look as well up here, 545 by 39, and then you can just always, just to make sure, you can do it this way. Yeah, they match up. Or if you just drag over, see how it's green, it'll right in the magazine. If you saw this, you can't, I just did this again. You can't just drag, you have to put the ammo in the magazine, not in the gun. You can put one in the chamber, so this will be 29, but that's it. And then you can fill your gun up and then drag that in there. That's kind of the basic for gun stuff. There's not much else. I guess I could go over like reloading. So anything in your rig or your pockets is readily accessible, where your backpack, not so much. So if I were to have this in here and this in here, or both, we'll put both these in the backpack. If I was in game, I'm shooting, I just emptied this whole magazine. I'm at 0 of 30. I go to reload. It's not reloading, and I'm just clicking it, and I'm basically nothing's happening. It's because these are in the backpack and not in the rig. They have to be in the rig or pockets if you have a gun that like single loads bullets. You want you want that because you do not want to be caught out in a fight and you can't reload, because that'll get you killed for sure. And it's definitely happened to me. I've been in a fight, emptied this, shot, knew I had magazines here. Didn't matter because they were in the backpack. So just a little quick little tip for when you're just starting out. Make sure your ammo is in your rig or your pockets. Another thing with rig and pockets, so medicines. Let me throw these in here. Your heals. Anything pockets or rig, you can hotkey from 4 to 0, as you can see down here. You can drag like that. What I recommend doing is just hitting the number. So 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6, you know, any way you want. Those are very important, especially in game. You can hotkey other things as well. If anything that's in here, you can hotkey it from 4 to 0. I'm going to unequip these. So we're just going to hit control like before. Put everything back really quick. Let's go over this pouch as well. So this pouch is anything in raid you would normally have on your person. If you died, you would lose it. Anything in the pouch stays with you. So if I were to have this with me in raid, if I were to die, these things would come back with me because it's in this pouch. I'll go over in like when we go over the raid stuff in a bit, what I actually put in there for me, especially just gonna start out. Let's go over the stash. So along with this pouch, you're gonna have, depending on the version you bought, you could have 4 squares or you could have up to 9. And then same with the stash, you could have a big stash like this one, or it could be a lot smaller. So I'm just gonna start organizing my stash now. And well, I'll probably organize a little bit off stream, but what I do is put my meds all in one spot, my backpacks down below, rigs in its own spot, guns in its own spot. And if you don't know this, you can stack backpacks and stack anything with slots. You could, if I wanted to put, let's do this. Let's equip this. And I'm just control clicking here. Say I wanted that. See it? That opens up a little bit more room for me. You can do that. I always stack my backpacks. So down here I have other backpacks. And then I would just put this in there with another one and stuff inside that, and so on and so on. That's just me personally. You can do what you want with your stash. I like to try to make as much room as possible, because if I come back from a raid, especially as a scav, and I have some really cool stuff, I want to have enough room to where I can, remember what I just grabbed, have a little bit of space in there to know what I want to sell, what I want to keep, all that kind of stuff. All right, I'm going to equip just these things real quick, because we're going to go to see the screen before we go into a raid, just so you can see what we look like now. As you can see, the items I just had, that is what we have equipped on us currently. So if you're going to go into a raid, what you do is you're going to hit next. Here is all the maps you can go to. The ones that say not available, that's for everyone. They're not available for anyone. They don't have those maps released yet. Personally, what I would do is learn a map, pick that one to start, learn it. People normally suggest factory or customs. I went with customs because a lot of the first quests we go on, which when I go over traders, I will show you how to do the quests. But I picked customs. I learned this one, and this is still, because it's the first one I learned, it's still the one I feel most comfortable on too. As you see here, you have times. So it's military time. So this is 1:31 in the morning, and this would be 1 in the afternoon. So this one is going to it's going to be brighter. This one's going to be like a nighttime. I always go daytime to begin. It's just because it gets pretty dark. So I would recommend the daytime to start out. Then if you hit next, you're going to come to this. It's going to say no map. Don't panic. You can buy a map from one of the traders in the game. What I recommend doing, and a decent amount of people recommend this, is if you have 2 monitors, pull up a map online of the map you're going to play, or use your phone, a tablet, your laptop, whatever you have readily accessible for you. That's what I would do. It's going to help a lot with learning extractions and all those things that we'll get into later. Next, so this is very big for beginners just starting out. This is the offline mode screen. So if you click this and nothing else, you're going to go into the raid with whatever you brought, but it's going to be just you. No one else, no computer, no AI, no other PMCs online against you. This is helpful if you want to learn the map. Just run to basically, say you have that other map up on your other monitor or whatever. You're going to run from your starting point to your extraction to learn extractions, or you can go through and just learn the map, the ins and outs of it. A lot of very good things early on you can do with offline mode. You can also, if you go here where it says enable PvE, this will spawn in the scavs or the AI. And what that does is you can practice your guns there. You can learn where they spawn. You can learn just like their behavior, how they move, things like that. Very helpful as well. And when you're in offline mode, if you die, you don't lose anything. But it's the same way if you get a bunch of cool loot and you extract, you don't gain any of that. Whatever you bring in is what you're coming out with for offline mode. Then if you hit next, I'm going to uncheck these. If you hit next, it's going to bring you to the insurance tab. For me personally, I recommend absolutely insuring. You can insure with Prapper or Therapist. Prapper, return time 24 to 36 hours. Therapist is 12 to 24 or something like that. But what happens is hers is a little more expensive. And when I'm insuring these things, I don't need to back that soon, if that makes sense. So you can just click insure all, and it's going to take everything. If you have stuff in here, it's going to insure this. So you can uncheck those if you want. If you don't want this insured, you can uncheck. So say it's that right there. See, pretty cheap. Then you would just hit insure. It would insure those items. Like I said, if you go therapist, 12 to 24, it's a little more expensive. I just go with Prapper personally. That's just my thing. But the nice thing with this and how this works, if you're in a raid, normally if you die, you would lose these things. If you have them insured, and no one grabs your items, or if well, that's not true. If your items stay in that map when it's done and no one extracts with your items, you would get them back. Someone could grab them and they could also die, and you could get them back within 24 to 36 hours. So that's why ensuring is great, especially early on, because people aren't going to always want like some of these things because they're not the best. Like the AK, someone might not want that, so they just leave it. Their gun's better, and you get this back. I believe bullets don't come back, meds don't come back. That's about it. And then once you hit ensure, then you would hit next. Then here you can find a group, and this is other people online. If you want to group up with people, have at it. As you can see, there's so many people online right now. All right, now that we're back at the main menu, I'm gonna go into this trading tab. This is gonna have your traders here. This is, or dealers, whatever you want to call it. This also has the flea market. The flea market is unlocked at level 5, and what that is that's basically an auction house between players in game. So you can put up your items that maybe these people aren't buying for that much, but it goes for more on the flea market. You could put your items there, and you can also buy items there. Sometimes items on the flea market are cheaper than what you can buy from these people. And that just kind of comes with the game knowledge later on. All right, let's get into Prapper here. As you can see, I've already clicked through all of his things and examined. I'll show you in a different character what I mean by that. Here, to buy, you would just click an item. And as you can see, I have autofill items on, so this way it fills up my, or something costs however much, I don't have to like drag or select them on or whatever. And then you would just hit deal, and then you would have this item. You can also barter items, and what that means is, so if I had one of this Tashanka, I could get this ammo. If I had one of this wiper, I could get this ammo. Here's the tab. There's different tabs here. If you just want to look at guns, there's just guns. If you want to just look at barter, there's just barter. Up here is sell. To sell, you can drag. You would hit deal like this. Or remember our control. You can just do that if you want. And then to get rid of them quick, you can just right click on your mouse. Tasks. I already hit accept for this. I should have waited, but I already hit accept. So what this is this is where you're going to get your quests, and this is going to help you up your loyalty with them. I'm going to go over that in a second. It gives you XP, gives you a gun, some money, and it also unlocks items in the stores sometimes without having to be a next level up. So let's go back to the loyalty level right here. As you can see, to get this trader to level 2, I have to be level 15. I have to have the 0.2 like attitude or whatever you want to call it with him, loyalty, and I have to spend 1,000,000 rupees in his store. And that can be me selling items to him or me buying items from him. It's combined. If you go to like therapist, as you can see, hers is 13 and only 400k and only 0.15. Oh, here's an example of a grayed out item. If I were to right click examine, I get this, look down here. I'm getting XP for this. So that's very nice. And then to examine without hitting right click, just way faster, just middle mouse click. This is what I do, especially in raid. Very helpful. Same thing, sell, tasks. As you can see, we have one already accepted from her, and we need to find 5 Salewa kits. So there's, when it says find, I could just buy 5 of these kits and give them to her. If it says find in raid, I have to actually find them in raid and then extract with them to complete. So I would hit turn in, click this, turn in to do that. And she, by the way, she's going to be your meds. You're going to buy meds from her, and you're going to sell basically any item that's not weapon related to her. For if you're looking for most amount of profit and not just leveling people up. Fence, he's you could kind of look at him as like your flea market before you have that flea market open, because this is all items that players are selling to him, like other real players are selling this stuff to him. That's why a lot of this is grayed out. So you can go through and just examine all you want. And why that's good is because in raid, you don't want to be examining, because that's extra time spent looting, and you want to loot as fast as possible and as quick as possible. The other thing, you could maybe wait on examining. Let's see, I don't think keys. So I don't want to examine this key for the reason that when I'm in raid, I'm going to grab that, extract, and then I'll examine it, just so I can kind of keep track of what keys I have and don't have in my inventory. So if I'm in raid, I find a new key, I see it's grayed out, I know, oh, I don't have that. Or the opposite is I go into the raid, it's not grayed out, it's already examined, I know then, oh, that's in my stash, or I have that key on me, or I had it. Skier, he's going to be your kind of like your little weapon parts, a couple weapon parts here. He's going to be the one you actually sell your weapon parts to, and anything left over weapon parts wise and weapon wise, you're going to sell the mechanic. Peacekeeper's a little different. All of his stuff is US dollars. As you can see here, you can exchange money if you want for dollars. Same thing, go through, examine, you get XP. It's easy way to get that stuff. So he uses dollars, and you'll have to spend 13,000 with him once, and he's actually the first one you can get to level 2, because you can unlock him to level 2 at your level 10 with 13,000 spent. Ragman, he's going to sell you your armor, your helmets, some headsets, basically your accessories. And then Jaeger, you're going to get later on through a quest. That about wraps it up for the traders, without going too crazy in depth with it. That's basically going to be it for this whole beginning menu stuff before we get into the actual raid part, which I'm going to do probably in another video. And then the hideout is something else, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Guys, girls, fellas, ladies, I think that's going to be it for this. I know it's kind of a bit of a longer video, but I appreciate all you guys sticking it out. If you did, I'm going to try to put some timestamps in there as well. Thank you guys all for watching this. I'm hoping that it just can help out a couple of the beginners out there, or just people that maybe there was something you didn't know. If you're new, we stream Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. to about 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Central Time. So if anything was confusing or you got any questions, feel free to come in and ask, and I will gladly do my best to help you out. Or if you're brand new and you just want to feel better about how you're playing, go ahead and come in and watch me die a bunch in raids, because I'm learning as well. All right, I'm going to see you guys all in the next video. Peace.